Greetings everybody, welcome to G4G on YouTube. I'm Napalm Dawn. Today we're talking about the top tier characters, or the tier list actually, in Marvel Avengers Alliance. Today's background soundtrack is brought to you by Phantasy Star Online OST. Phantasy Star Online was a game that I played way back when on my Dreamcast back in the late 90s. Really fun game. There is of course a Phantasy Star Online 2 which is available but only in Japan. There are definitely some Americans who do play it, but Japan is not too happy with Americans that play their game over there, and it's never really come to the States, even though it has tried several times. But it's kind of like when you have these American MMOs that people from other countries show up and you're kind of like, huh. Well, that's how Japan feels about people playing Phantasy Star Online too. There's some ways, and for the good part of it, Americans mostly tend to play when the Japanese are asleep, but if you get caught, they're not particularly happy. So today we're going to go through 3 different tier lists and kind of compare them and discuss where characters fall in terms of tier. And we're going to use this post, or this graphic. We're going to use stats from a Google Sheet that was linked on the Reddit for Marvel Strike Force. And we are going to use this one for Game Zebo. So, I'm going to pop up over to Strike Force over here. For those of you who are wondering how I'm playing this on a PC, this is BlueStacks Beta N, which stands for Beta Nougat. Nougat is a version of the Android operating system. Android OSs are always named after a dessert, and Beta N means the OS behind this version of BlueStacks is Nougat. The most recent one is Oreo with a P currently in the works, but I forget if they've named P yet. So while that's loading up, we'll take a look at the first tier list over here, which is this graphic, and it's showing a tier. So tier S is basically super good, and then it goes down from A, B, C, D, and F, with S and A pretty much being top tier, and D and F being like, just don't even bother, like the game should pay you to play them. So in tier S on this one, we have Quake, Captain America, Gamora, Yondu, and Drax, with a hand and a mercenary at the end. So Quake, of course, being a major debuffer with her slows and AoE. Captain and Drax being tanks, with Gamora and Yondu being DPS. Now, I do consider Captain to be the best tank in the game, especially when running other Shield and Avenger allies also with Quake. Gamora is definitely my favorite DPS in the game, especially if you set her up for it. If you play into getting somebody very low but not killing them and letting Gamora do it, it's fun and strategic. Yondu, of course, is very powerful because of his summons and his AoE and buff clearing. Drax, I do not agree with the fact that he is S tier. I do think you can certainly have 2 S tier characters of a type. You know, Captain and Drax being 2 tanks and Yondu and Gamora being 2 DPS, but I don't particularly agree that Drax is a top tier tank. Maybe A, maybe the borderline of A and B, but okay, we'll agree to disagree. And taking a look at the other 2 characters over there, the minion characters, we will identify them as potentially the mercenary soldier, and I believe that is a hand. I forget which hand that is. We're gonna have to scroll to find him. I believe it is the one that I've definitely heard some really good things about. Oh, Hand Sentry. Yes, yeah, Hand Sentry. And the other one is Goggles with a Microphone. So I guess they're saying Mercenary Lieutenant. Funny, I don't think I've heard much about the Mercenary Lieutenant, but let's take a look at Hand Sentry. So Hand Sentry, we do fight in some of the missions. He has Psy Strike, which is a starting off at 100%. Smoke Bomb, which applies stealth to all allies except self. And Way of the Scorpion, which is a 10% block chance. That's pretty good for DPS. Now, Smoke Bomb is probably the one that everybody likes in this one, essentially making them untargetable by anything but AoE. That is good because of the fact that Sentry does have Way of the Scorpion, which gives him block. So if he's the only one visible to the enemy team and then has a decent block chance, similar to Captain America, it means he can take his punishment pretty well. If we click on Find, he's not available to farm unless you get really deep into the Nexus. So that makes this guy a little bit tough to get. I'm at 6 of 15, but that only obviously gives him a 1, so that makes him a little tough to farm. Looking at Mercenary Lieutenant, he has Cover Fire, attacking the target, 30% chance to gain, grant an ability energy to an ally. That is pretty cool for a basic attack. Offense up to 3 allies for a turn. Squad Coherency, 25% chance to heal the lowest health ally for 15% of this character's max health. If it's a mercenary, heal it for 25% of the character's max health. So, this guy I would say is support, but his level 1 is pretty decent. I mean, granting ability energy just makes things go by quicker, and if you combine it with a speed up where hopefully people start acting quicker, all the more better. Not really too sure if I know that's S tier. I mean, it's a good kit, and you're not really sacrificing a whole lot by having him do damage when his abilities are cooling down. I'm not really too sure that I classify it as S tier, and I really don't think I've run into him particularly much. At A tier we have Thor, Hawkeye, Nobu, Kingpin, Black Widow, Rocket Raccoon, Crossbones, and I do recognize that character. I think that's Shield Security. Yep, there he is. Shield Security, Stun Baton, Crowd Control, and Shield Agent when an ally drops below 50% health, Taunt for a turn. So this guy is pretty decent as a support tank. I do know that some of the missions later on really do require these levels of stuns. I believe it's Captain's Note at 6-6, I've heard, requires him being stun locked almost the entire time, and clearly Shield Security is one of the people who could do it. Sounds really good for PvE. I don't know if I would consider him super high for PvP. However, we do know that there are certain characters that get really, really bad if they get late into the game, and keeping them stun locked before major abilities like Rocket's AoE, Kingpin's taunt summons and everything like that, that is pretty solid. At the B tier, we will have Elektra, Black Panther, Winter Soldier, Iron Man, Spider-Man, one of the Kree characters, Hulk, and then Two Hands, one of the Hydras, and one of the Shields. So I believe that Shield character, yeah, that's the Operative. I'm surprised to see her at C. I hear a lot of people talking very highly of the Shield Operative. Borderline B, that's the Hand Sork. And then the other one I believe is that Hand Archer? I guess it's because of his buff clearing off each, yeah, Arrow Storm hitting each enemy, I would say is pretty solid. I don't know if Hand Archer is supposed to be up there. There's some things that I definitely disagree with on this list, and I really don't think Wolverine and Daredevil belong at C. And believe it or not, missing is the Shield Medic. She's nowhere on here. To me, personally, I would put her up at an AB level, because she just puts in a lot of mileage for me. That's not to say that Night Nurse can't take over for her. She just hasn't for me yet because I don't quite have her up there. So looking at the stats from Marvel Strike Force, this is a really, really handy utility. The comments give you some good ideas of what's going on with him. And it also breaks it down into PvP and PvE. So there's arena offense, arena defense, meaning your AFK team, and raids. So Captain America for PvE has an S-class. Drax does. Alright, I guess I'm wrong again about Drax. Gamora, Hawkeye, Iron Man, Kingpin, Night Nurse, Quake, Wolverine, and Yondu. So that's your major PvE. For arena offense, Black Widow is S tier. That's pretty much how I know Black Widow to be. Captain America, Gamora, and Hawkeye. Alright, I guess Hawkeye definitely deserves a lot of love. At the SA border is Iron Man. We have Jessica Jones as an A. Kingpin. I'm not too sure how I feel about Jessica Jones. I mean, she does have one solid hit, but she's never very impressed me. Punisher is good, AoE, and Yondu. So, of course, dropping off from the S tier on that one is Quake. Nope, Quake retains it. Okay, yeah, it's not Punisher who was S tier, it was Quake. That certainly makes sense. Good correction there. Drax. I don't think Drax is S tier for PvP. They have him as an A, so that conflicts a little bit. This one really doesn't tell us whether it's PvE or PvP, and that is a big, big difference over there. Arena defenses, the characters you want defending you when you're AFK are Drax, so he gets a little bit of a bump there. Iron Man, and Yondu, and some A's at Captain America, Daredevil, Elektra, Gamora, Hawkeye, the SA border of Iron Man, Jessica Jones again, don't really understand that one, Quake. Let's take a look at Jessica Jones and see why she's getting such high rankings. I disagree with it. I mean, other than the fact that I think this is the prettiest Jessica Jones has ever looked in any of her representations, but Jawbreaker, attack the primary target, chance of bonus attack damage, primary attack, bonus attack, 50% chance to gain ability energy on each attack. That, I admit, is pretty solid. Shake it off, clear one negative effect from self, clear one negative effect from all allies, generate one ability. Okay, that's pretty decent. That's good as support over there, the shake it off. Rejection, attack the primary target for a decent amount of damage and clear one positive effect. Other people do that too. Denial, extra resistance to city allies. I think if you built the team around it being city, perhaps it would be particularly good. I just don't think she does anything that other people don't do. Seismic Blast, slow, and apply slow to the primary target and up to 10 adjacent targets, which is huge. Shockwave, attack the primary target for 85% damage, clear a positive effect, chance to chain up to 2, and clear positive. So she really just wipes out the team's buffs. And does an offense down. And Secret Warrior, shield allies gain 5% damage. And of course, if we take a look at Captain synergy with that, with the symbol... Oh no, I'm sorry, it's Inspire. To avenge your allies. But he's considered shield, so that's part of the reason why Quake works. And that's part of the reason why I think the shield medic also works pretty well, because she's considered shield. She also does slows and offense downs. And Fighting Fit is also pretty cool. But she could definitely be replaced by Night Nurse very easily. The reason being is the pistol does offense down, and on crits it applies slows. But if we take a look at Night Nurse's basic attack, 30% chance to, so it has a chance for the slows, and then when it upgrades, it doesn't upgrade the chance, but it does upgrade the amount of turns. Plus, she is definitely more healy. I really want to try getting Night Nurse up to the level that my Shield Medic is and see what it's like for her to do Arena and Blitz and everything. So now moving on to Game Zebos as the final one. Tier S, Black Widow and Drax, Gamora, Quake, Captain America, Hand, Sentry. Again, there's Drax really far up there. Not too sure how I feel about that one, but definitely Black Widow, Quake, Captain America belong up there. I do feel Yondu is missing from that one. We've universally given Yondu very high marks, and then this one doesn't, so I would take out Drax and move Yondu up there. Hand Sentry, let's take a look at him again real quick and discuss that one. There he is. Yeah, so he's Smoke Bomb Dude. Very handy, but I think his Smoke Bomb needs to be well placed. You wouldn't want to do the Smoke Bomb in a turn where you have a Taunter up like Captain America, but I think it's certainly good in the off turns. And also, it would be really good for trying to keep Crossbones alive if you're building him to do that skill number 3, big blow up. And then also when he's death proof, if he can't get hit, his death proof doesn't trigger. So the way death proof works is the first time you get hit for lethal damage, you essentially shrug it off, but then it goes away, and then the moment you get hit again, you will die. So Hand Sentry can be used right after the AoE to give his death proof more turns and maybe enough time to heal him back up. Tier A, we have Nobu, Wolverine, Yondu, Black Panther, Rocket Raccoon, Crossbones, and Kingpin. We all pretty much agree on this one. Good to see Wolverine up where he belongs. Nobu was considered very good during the beta, but he has fallen down recently because summoners have fallen down. So taking a look at him, he belongs as a villain, city, hand, and martial artist are his big ones. Shadow Strike. So his first ability has reasonably high damage and a chance to make him stealthy. Summon Hand Ninjas. Gain counter plus apply it to 2 allies. So that's 3 people with counters is really good. And Secrets of Death. All hand allies get a 5% chance to revive on death with 10% health. Pretty good if you're running a hand team with Hand Sork as your main healer. Sounds good for the villain campaign. Gotta admit, don't really ever see him in PvP, and that could be just because he's a little hard to farm. He comes in at 100 for his rank, and he's buried deep within the Nexus over there. Tier B, Daredevil, Iron Man, Thor, Ultimus, Elektra, Winter Soldier. So this is the first time we've seen Ultimus mentioned. Tier C, you have Hawkeye, which stands out as why is he so low over there. Surprises me to see Night Nurse so low because I just think of her as a really good healer. And Nebula is oddly low. I know a lot of people who talk about Nebula, but people are very up and down when it comes to Nebula. I see some good things for her, and I see a lot of bad things for her. So here is the list that Game Zebo was using, and it lines up to this that we've seen up here, where Game Zebo differs from the Pop Pokemon version is they're moving Thor, Elektra, Luke, Cage, Hulk, and Night Nurse up a tier. Some C to B. No, I don't know if C to B with Luke. He belongs at a CB border, I think. They're saying Thor should go up from B to A. Maybe. He does do a lot of AoE. Elektra going up a rank, so from B to A. Again, I feel that's out of date. Elektra was really good in the beta where one of her abilities had a very good chance of one-shotting you. It's a little less so now. Hulk, they're saying, goes up from C to B, and Night Nurse goes up from C to B. I would certainly agree with that on Night Nurse, but they're saying Captain America and Crossbones should go down. So Cap from S to A, I don't believe in that one. Crossbones A to B, again, don't believe in that one. Maybe you don't understand how to play it right. Rocket and Wolverine. So Rocket going from A to B, and Wolverine going from A to B. It puts him on line with some of the other ones, but I think Wolverine should be where he is thanks to his healing. So real quick, I'm going to do a Blitz match with my team. I did find out I was doing Blitz wrong, really, where I should be throwing weaker teams to up the multiplier and then bring in the high teams when the multiplier gets up there. It was definitely a shortcoming on my point. It looks like we're looking at a healer, Yondu, Spider-Man. Luke is a second round tank. I hate double tanks. I try to avoid double tanks as much as I possibly can, because they just screw up my pattern. I'm going to go for this one because Luke does not tank in the first round or at the beginning of the match, which means I can kill a target before I have to worry about Luke. When it's Crossbones, Crossbones becomes my primary target because A, I don't want to deal with the AoE when it's up, and B, I know he's going to taunt, so I get rid of him first rather than trying to kill somebody and then work around him tanking. So we have some odd ones over here in that we have Shield Trooper, which I usually don't see. The medic generally gets out the heal in the first turn, so she's not primary. I'm going to go with Yondu as my primary target in this one. This is different than I normally face. Gamora getting the double hit is really good. Cap, I have him go on offense in the first turn so that I can get the damage out. Spider-Man's stun does not ever come out in the first turn. He is now low enough for the Gamora kill, so I'm going to not hit him right now. Wow, nice damage from Yondu. Shield Trooper gives a counterattack, which really does not mean a whole hell of a lot. Again, I'm saving Yondu for Gamora for a reason. He did get a defense up, but he should be in range of Gamora's 3. Gamora should obliterate him. I just recently buffed her level 3. She might not get the kill on this one, but the idea is for a chain. Cap now tanks for me. Spider-Man's going to evade, so I'm going to use the medic shot to get rid of the evade. And then Yondu is going to do his AoE, which will provoke a counterattack. But that's okay. I'm not particularly afraid of the Shield Trooper. That's not a lot of damage. This is an interesting chess match right here. Go for the kill or stun somebody. I'm going to stun Luke Cage because he is going to taunt. And we don't get the kill with the follow-up, unfortunately, but anybody just can sneeze on Spider-Man and he's going to die, so Gamora will take care of that. We're now going to focus on the Shield Trooper and hopefully get him down before Luke taunts. That's another chess match there. Do I go for the... See, Black Widow and Yondu right here are always a big question for me. Do I go raw offense or do I go utility? I'm going to go utility, and it's a good gamble over there as I get 2 Ravager allies, including the Healy one. I don't think I need the heal right now, even though my shield medic is getting really low. Damn! Nice hit from the Ravager Boomer. And poor Luke is last. So this played out perfectly well. This is exactly why I like the offense team that I have. I'm very, very intimate with its patterns now and how it works most teams out there in the Blitz meta. And you know, it's mostly like S and A class characters that I've got over here, with the exception of Shield Medic, who just seems to get shit on in ratings, but I think she does a good job for me. And in the store, Crossbones was recently ranked up, so I'm going for Gamora. Leaving Spider-Man alone because he's part of the dailies, and then leaving the rest of these guys alone over here for now. So, there you go, guys. There's a discussion on the tier list of Marvel Strike Force characters. Just before I close out the video, I'll let you know who I like. This top row I basically like a lot. And there's a reason why it's my top row. I'm getting Wolverine up there. Can't say I really feel the need to put him in anywhere in terms of PvP yet. Crossbones is very good, especially when you know you're dealing with huge waves. Handsork is definitely second fiddle to my Shield Medic. Daredevil is 4 stars because of the pre-registration everything. And he definitely does do a bucket of DPS. He may eventually come in and take Gamora's place, but I don't know because they're both going to be 4 stars very soon. I still might have Gamora over Daredevil. On this row, I know a lot of people like Bullseye, but not really tier people or ranking people like Bullseye, but a lot of casual conversation. People like him for villain campaigns. Kingpin is phenomenal support. Punisher has fallen off for me, even though I always see him in PvP. Spider-Man, I don't know why people are continuing to run him in PvP so much. I don't think he's really that good, minus his evades, which just consume an attack. Elektra, I think, has fallen down since beta, but people continue to like her a lot. I really want to try Night Nurse, even though nobody talks about her that much. And Nebula is she's contested whether or not people like her. And of course, Shield Op is considered good. And Quake is also considered good. And Rocket has really, really high end fight DPS. His AoE towards the end of the fight is really something you need to watch out for. So, there you go, guys. There's a tier list for Marvel Strike Force characters. See you, everybody.